Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative. Speaking of Benjamin Hollingsworth about Virgin River, Season 3 of Virgin River is going to be dropping July 9th on Netflix. Benjamin, welcome to Popternative.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm excited to chat with you. I mean, has it first of all hit you that there's already there's already been 3 seasons of Virgin River, which I think is crazy. Like, it's already 3 seasons.
Yeah, it is crazy. No, we started filming season 1 was at the end of 2019 and into early part of 2000. So end of 2018 into the early part of 2019. And to think we're already airing season 3 already isn't just nuts. So it's been going by quick, but a fun ride.
Dad Brady, whatever we call him. I mean, he's a complex guy. I think there's a lot of situations where you're seen as the antagonist, but I think, do you agree that there's like a misunderstood aspect of things at times too?
I think Brady is the most misunderstood character in Virgin River.
Yeah.
I think he's very much underestimated. He's kind of cast away from the rest of the community, and I think he's okay with that. I think he kind of grew up like that. You find out a little more in season 3 about his upbringing and his history that he kind of had, and it kind of connects the dots a little bit about who he is and why he might behave the way he behaves in the show.
Yeah.
Well, that's waiting you in season 3.
But it's interesting too, because I've had a chance to talk to Grayson, who plays Ricky, and one of the things that we agree is something amazing about Virgin River is, there's a lot of TV shows, a lot of characters on TV shows, but specifically with Virgin River, you see what Brady, like the growth of characters in this show is just insane and unbelievable. Like, everyone has unbelievable growth and goes through so much, and it's already been we've seen 2 seasons of it, and right. I can't even imagine there's just going to be more growth in season 3.
Well, all that goes to the talents of Robin Carr, the author of the books, and more importantly, I mean, Sue Tenney, our showrunner and our fierce leader as far as scripts go. She's so talented, and really to have so many characters that she's juggling all at once, and to have them as flushed out as they are in terms of having history and interacting, and it really is. She does a terrific job of doing that.
What's the mindset when you get casted for something like this? Obviously, this is an emotional role. This is, like you said, a very misunderstood character. Arguably, your opinion, the most misunderstood character on the TV show. What's the mindset before you kind of go in to the meat and potatoes of everything and like shooting and reading the scripts? What's your mindset?
Yeah, I mean, when I first got the offer, I looked at, my wife and I actually were reading, not reading, we were doing the Audible while listening to, we each had an earbud in, and we were hiking Runyon, which is a pretty well-known hike in LA. And we were pushing our little boy at the time up the hill with the stroller, and I remember listening to it. I'm like, this isn't typically something I would be into, but I'm kind of hooked, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, especially guys, because I think maybe the show might be, skewed a little bit towards women, but it's definitely something that me coming from a small town in Canada, it has a resonance to me, and I think it resonates with a lot of other people the same way. And it is accessible for not just women, but for men as well. And so I was like, you know what, this is going to be fun, and I love the idea of playing an ex-Marine. I love the idea. I always have a lot of fun playing the edgier characters. I think they're way more
edgy
fun
is a
to
good
play
word
than
for it.
here.
It's funny, like my mom loves Virgin River, right?
Yeah, right.
So I told her, yeah. You're like, of course.
Yeah,
but like,
I get a lot of moms stopping me on the street.
But I told her that I was interviewing you, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, his character." That was her response.
Yeah,
which was
no, it's
awesome.
the
She's like, he's
character
a
is a
great
lot of fun.
actor. He's great. It's just his character. I'm not a big fan. I was like,
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm gonna gain some more fans in season three, though.
hmm.
I have a feeling that people might be a little more Team Brady after watching season three.
Well, it's
Not
funny.
to give
People
anything
weren't
away.
really like, because like you remember like Ricky's transformation from season 1 and 2,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
like the
And not
good
to
boy in
spoil
the
anything, I'm
season
sure.
2 and then the bad boy.
Yeah, not to spoil anything, but I'm sure. Um, I'm sure you're gonna see his development is even greater in season three as well. I mean, he's just really coming into his own. He's a terrific actor, and
I was really happy.
he's
It's
yeah,
funny. The 2 interviews I did with him about it were so different because there's so much kind of that changed between the
right.
seasons for Ricky, right?
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, he has a great arc on the show as well. So it's a one thing about this show. It really has a terrific ensemble.
Oh, 100%.
Everyone. Tim Matheson does such a great job as Doc, and of course, Martin as Jack, and Alex as Mel. They just knock it out of the park. And then you've got actors, like Colin, who plays Preacher. He just brings such a grounded texture to Preacher,
Yep.
and you've got characters like Connie and all these other different small town characters like Bert, and all these people who you totally are used to in small towns, and really bring that kind of authentic vibe to the show.
100%. We were talking before we started. I mean, we're both Canadian originally. Like we're both from Canada, and you
Yeah,
were in Degrassi: The Next Generation. And
yeah,
how how I'm gonna spin this is I find it interesting because content these days, like part of my job too is like I do my research, right? Like I do my
right,
research of the fandoms of shows and everything, right?
yeah,
And like the Virgin River fan base, it's not only is it amazing and big, right? But it's global. Like there's
yeah.
people from all over the world that watch this show.
You're
Like I
absolutely,
love
yeah,
seeing that, man. It's so
yeah.
cool.
It is, and that's one thing about it. It's great being on a show like Virgin River that's produced and actually made by Netflix. Not everything you see on Netflix is actually made by Netflix. They acquire quite a bit of their content, but as of the last few years, they've done more and more and focused more and more on creating their own content, which we're a part of, and I'm very very thankful to be a part of that. So what that enables them to do is they don't have to license it in every country. This because they own the show, they can air it on all the different countries without having to pay some studio somewhere, because they are the studio that makes the show. So what it allows is for global content and global fan base. And you're right, I get so many messages from people all over the place,
It's
Brazil,
crazy. There's no
Germany,
border. Like it's
no,
crazy.
no, it's a whole new era of television. And you know what? It's funny that you bring it back to Degrassi. That's a show that runs and runs in multiple countries still,
Tons.
all over the place. And it's funny because when I first, that was one of the first jobs I did at a theater school, and I was living in Toronto at the time, and I did the show, and I met so I worked with Stacey Farber, who actually comes in on the end of season 2, and you'll see a lot more of her in season 3.
Yep.
She's a terrific actress as
Amazing.
well.
She's also on Superman and Lois in the CW as well.
She is. She's in so much. She's just a
Yep.
great talent. And then so I worked with her, and then I ran it. I kind of met Nina Dobrev while shooting, and she was looking for a place to live at the time. I was in this 4-bedroom apartment in downtown Toronto, um, kind of Gerrard area,
Yeah.
and we had 4 actors living in that place, in this four-story townhouse. And we had the basement, was one of the guys was heading out, and so we had a vacancy. And I told, she was like, oh, and I was like, well, we have this place, it's in the basement. And she saw it, and she moved in. So we lived together for about 2 years, and then we both went to LA at the same time, in 2000. the end of 2008, early part of 2009, and we both booked CW pilots at the same time. Hers was Vampire Diaries, and mine was The Beautiful Life. And hers went on to do like 8 or 9 years. Mine, we had like 7 episodes in the can. I think we got canceled after 2. So a little bit different trajectories, but no, our show was a lot of fun. I mean, the talent that came out of Degrassi, you look at Aubrey. I mean, everyone knows him as Drake, right? I mean, he was wheeling around in the wheelchair rapping in between scenes, and I was like, oh, this guy's pretty good, but never thought anything of it. And I was shooting my first movie in Atlanta, Georgia, with David Duchovny and Demi Moore, and Demi and I were in a car, and Drake's song came on, "You Can Have Whatever You Like," and you know what, I was like, oh yeah, I know this guy. And it was kind of a really, really fun moment. I was, kind of pinching myself. We were driving to a football game, Demi and I, and then hearing, a friend come on the radio, which is pretty fun moment.
It's pretty cool. And it's interesting because the reason why I also thought of Degrassi as well is because, you're Canadian, I'm Canadian. I mean, yes, there's a lot of like TV shows that are being like shot in Canada, but they're not like Canadian, like they're American production companies, right? But in terms of like Canadian stuff created by Canadians, made by Canadians, I feel like we're getting better, but I feel like there is still room for improvement. Do you agree a little bit?
Yeah. No, I do. I mean, I think that Degrassi is kind of the flagship of that movement.
Yeah.
And then you've got shows like Heartland, which I actually did an episode in the first season of that show as well. Super, super terrific show, made in Canada, produced in Canada, about Canadians. And, they're on season 15 or something like that. It really, there is room to improve, and I think there's more and more shows that are kind of popping up. Republic of Doyle is another one that I really like. I mean, you got Kim's Convenience, which is sadly it's done now, but was a great show.
Schitt's Creek, Letterkenny.
Schitt's Creek. I mean, that's just. I mean,
but it took a while though. That's what it takes a long time for some of these shows.
You know what? It ended up. My theory is with this is this. So you have shows like Degrassi start becoming successful, and then the government allowed tax breaks to kind of happen in Toronto and Vancouver. So you were getting more and more productions coming and shooting here, and at the start they were taking their entire crew from LA, flying them up, and staying in Toronto and Vancouver, and that got expensive for them. And after time, people in Toronto and Vancouver were locals learning the craft of, all the different crew, whether it be wardrobe or makeup or camera or locations. And so all of these people then got their training through the people in LA. And then once that underbelly started to create, then these Canadians were not only just making content, they were making good content, and they didn't need to bring in the teams from LA. Then more and more production started happening, and so now we have the talent. I mean, we have such a rich wealth of actors and directors, and a lot of us end up going down to LA because I did myself, because
so you're in LA, right? You're in LA right now.
Yeah. Well, actually, right now I'm up in Vancouver.
See, Pacific time, sometimes you're not sure, right? Vancouver or LA.
Yeah. Well, I split my time. I have a house in LA and a place up here, and I split my time. I'm usually about half and half. But it's kind of nice. I'm not a snowbird, but
well, Vancouver's always been it's always been really busy. Like it's always been busy. Toronto, I guess you're right about the tax breaks and everything, but I find it interesting too because, and there's some Degrassi folks on it. There was a show called Life with Derek. Do you remember that show or heard of that show? It was a kid show,
right?
Michael Cedar and Shane Kipple from Degrassi was on a bunch of episodes too.
I think Noah Reed was on that.
Yes,
too,
Noah. Yeah, he was.
Noah and I went to school together.
Yeah. So what's really interesting about that one is that was a Canadian show bought by Disney.
Right.
Like people don't
Right.
realize that, right? Like
Yeah,
that was as
yeah.
Canadian as it could be. That took place. They lived in London, Ontario. You know, they're talking about
Right.
hockey. That was
Yeah.
like Canadian, but that was like on. That was part of like Disney's like heavy rotation.
Right. No, you're absolutely
That's
right.
really
And
cool.
that's
Like to think about.
yeah. And that's happening more and more. I mean, Schitt's Creek is a perfect example.
Yep.
You know, it was kind of made by CBC and produced by them. They sold it to Pop TV
Mhm.
in the U.S. and it didn't become a hit until it got to Netflix. And then
Yeah.
once people
That's a
could
common
stream it,
tale, isn't it? Though, right?
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's what's great about Netflix is that global audience, you know. And if they can buy a show um, well, and also, and you know, here's another example. Arrested Development. That
Yep.
was an American
That's a
show,
perfect example.
but
Yep.
you know, oh my God, what a hilarious show. But it just wasn't a network TV show.
Lucifer
And
too.
so Lucifer is another one. And so, you know, there seems to be a lot more network TV is one thing and they kind of do one thing really well. But if the show is too edgy or maybe it's a different kind of niche market, well, you can find that niche in there's a global market for that. So even though I think shows like Schitt's Creek transcend that whole thing, you know, I mean, they're not a niche. They're just damn right funny as the whole world has come to see.
Absolutely. No,
So happy with that gang.
absolutely. And before we wrap up, getting back to Virgin River, I mean, what are some takeaways or things you hope people get out of watching the show? There is a lot happening in the show, season by season. A lot of characters are going through a lot of stuff. Some characters are there for each other. Some aren't as much as you want to as the audience
Right.
member, right? What do you hope
Yeah.
they get out of it when they watch Virgin River?
Well, you know what? I can tell you this. I think that I'll tease season 3 a little bit
Yep.
because I think that that's what's maybe the most interesting. I think in season 3, my showrunner said, you know, there's going to be a fire, a funeral, and some new love plots.
Oh my
There's a
God.
hurricane.
Oh
There's
no.
all kinds of madness happening. Brady's a part of one of those. I won't tell you which one. He's also doing things that you wouldn't necessarily expect Brady to do in season 3, and he's also doing things that he knows that he might get in trouble for doing,
Mhm.
which is pure Brady. And when people see season 3, they'll realize that. So, but you know what? As far as the question goes, what people I think get from Virgin River is I describe it as a warm apple pie show. It's comfort TV in the best sense of the word. It really does allow the whole family to sit down and watch it. It's something you know and love, but it
Mhm.
does it in a very tasteful manner with, in my opinion, great stories and terrific performers. And it's just beautiful to watch. I mean the cinematography on the show and
Knocks it out of the park.
oh my God. It's an enjoyable 45 minutes. You sit down and you feel kind of wholesome after. It's like apple pie. I mean, it may not have a huge amount of nutrition in it, but boy, is it good.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on Popternative, man. Seriously, thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I appreciate it.
So July 9th, season 3.
July 9th, season
Has it
3.
hit you? Like it's close.
It's coming up so soon. I'm excited for everyone to see it. It's I think our best season yet. So make sure to stream it.
Where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
Yeah, my handle's the same across Twitter and Instagram. It's Hollingsworth B. That's the letter B.
Yep.
So just my last name and B. And then I've got a Facebook page as well. People can find me just Benjamin Hollingsworth.
Amazing.
But yeah.
Yeah, well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popturn for previous episodes. You're going to be able to catch Benjamin Hollingsworth as Brady in season 3 of Virgin River, coming to Netflix July 9th. Until next time, it's Benjamin Hollingsworth and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.